Hello, good people, but now you know the deal. If the camera angle is off, it's not by design, I'm blind, and it comes with the territory. Imagine for a moment, just indulge me here. Here, Mafikizolo Nyana, who just learned about comms during the 2024 elections by winging it on media interviews and, of course, being given talking points. Coming to tell persons who have been involved in politics for many, many years what to do and how incompetent they are at politics. That's wild. It's really, really wild. So it's Kotane, SAMK, the fly boy himself, Nhlamulo Ndhlela. Apparently he's a bit of a rebel rouser, fancies himself a revolutionary of some sort, within MK. Now, screw, that's the type of things that happen, when they're not really managed as they should be. Then it just becomes one of those Mickey Mouse affairs, as is evidently right now. So, for those who have not caught up yet, apparently, daddy's girl, Duduzile Zuma, as well as Kotane, Nhlamulo Ndhlela. I suspect probably the toy soldier Andile Mngitama is also part of this, since nowadays the only politics that he can talk is that of defending Kotane. I mean, imagine that. A brother like Mngitama, very bright, very smart, intellectual, reduced to being a toy soldier for his Kotane. It's laughable. But anyway, so apparently they're the ones calling the shots there in Parliament, because they know everything about legislation, they know everything about laws and policies and politics, most importantly, right? And they want now to get rid of Mamkolin Makubela. They say that she makes unilateral decisions. Big words there. She does not adhere to democracy. Because, MK is all about democracy, as we know. And apparently she's not doing proper things. And then there's this peculiar point about her stance on Israel. So there I am trying to figure out what she actually said about Israel. Even reached out to a comrade. I'm like, no, man. What did she say? And the only thing I find is that some years ago, she basically talked about the support of Israel, or Jewish people to be specific. And this was in relation to them playing a pivotal role during the apartheid years. This is her argument, right? And this is at the time when I believe she was part of Congress of the People. And I'm now wondering, is this the point that Kotane is bringing forward as a revolutionary within the house of Moses? I mean, these things happen, We learn politics each day when it comes to the people who go to podcasts like rock stars. I mean, can someone just tell me what's the one thing that Kotane has ever articulated politically And it made you be like, no, I mean, he even fumbled that point about ancestors voting through the people. He could not even articulate that point as he should have, you know? Anyway, so Uskotani, there he is, instead of actually working on his political game as such, and more importantly, perhaps where he's concerned, given that he can't distinguish between a drug screening and a drug test, perhaps working on his 3 million claim of Nico Floyd Shivambu. Maybe that's where his focus should be. Whereas, Daddy's girl Madam should be maybe focusing on the 2021 July events that have now put her in court. You know? I don't know. I don't know, like priorities, people. But, you know, not all of us have the twang and went to private schools. So it is what it is. Makubele must go, right? Probably Dr. Hlophe must go as well. I wouldn't be surprised, you know? We might as well have Uskotani as the Secretary General of Umkhonto Wesizwe, and have Madam Daddy's girl as the leader in Parliament. Maybe she'll be guided by Ufar. We don't know. I mean, these things happen. And maybe that's how the Unity Project actually commences. Please tell me. You may know better. I mean, some of y'all are members of Moses. Maybe you understand these shenanigans far, far better than the people looking from the outside. And that's what it boils down to, right? Looking from the outside into what's happening in the MK. Because perceptions matter. It's politics. What are politics without perceptions? At the moment, what we see are brats supported by a toy soldier up to no good. You know, at least if this faction was like any other factions in some of the political formations, like your EFFs or maybe Gogo, where they're fighting about a policy direction of the organization, we'd understand. That's about who's got the right to be a screw. Yeah, I mean, I want to be on podcasts. I want to hit the comms team. At the same time, I want to be in Parliament. Never mind the contradiction, you know, because isn't our party supposed to separate leadership? There are those who are meant to be in Parliament and those who are meant to be serving in political structures outside Parliament. No. Apparently, Uskotani, and he has a different position. He almost operates like the supreme leader. Now imagine the perceptions that come with that. And the thing is about perceptions in politics, objective reality often matters little. So even if there are material facts that people can look at and be like, yeah, this looks good, the MK has done this is quite nice. That is not what sells. It's not. So people look at your leadership. How do they carry themselves? How do they articulate their views? How do they interact with the public? You know, do they drop F-bombs in the middle of the night? And also, how does the party resolve problems? So, a few days ago, I made a comment about that mutiny attempt that happened in Russia. I believe it was in 2023 June, where a breakaway group that was fighting in Ukraine wanted to basically take over Moscow. And Yevgeny was leading this faction of the military. Now, people, I'm not saying that this situation explains exactly what's happening within the MK. But anyway, the mutiny attempt was squashed within a weekend, in 24 to 36 hours. Right? It was dealt with, it was resolved, and people moved on. So much so when Yevgeny was mysteriously killed, or when he died, I should put it to try and be objective here, a few months later, the story had been dead and buried by that time. So what's going on in MK? Why is it that skirmishes, squabbles, petty politics can never be resolved? What does it tell you, me, and those who follow this party about the leadership, right? Now, the MK says that they are in a revolution. Russia, to use that other example, was and still is in the middle of a war. So there are certain things you cannot tolerate when you're waging a serious battle. It's just intolerable. Why? Because they distract from the mission and the vision. Right? Even your soldiers become preoccupied about who do they favor. I see now even on social media circles, there are those who are like, hey, my sister Duduzile was so right. Nico was just a problem. He was a plant, and so on and so forth. As if that justifies dropping F-bombs. It's like, what do y'all stand for? What are your values? This is how you get confused, right, as a political movement. Ansaz, can you distinguish between someone doing wrong and what that type of wrong is, and supporting that person? So Umkhulu Zuma yena ukuphi makenzala konke lokhu, like in the middle of this drama, right? But what is he doing? What is he saying? Because is he not the general commander of Kwamoses? Is he not leading these people? Since they find themselves in the wilderness at present. Aren't they marching? Aren't they in the revolution? So where's the decisive leadership? Right? And these questions need to be asked, right? Because you can't be preoccupied by pathetic matters of this nature for as long as the MK has been. It's bananas. It's like, no wonder your political opponents and your political enemies take advantage of it. And they should. The rest of us can just sit back and have popcorns and be like, let's see how this revolution is being led. Because clearly, someone is not making decisions within the MK. The National High Command structure is flat-footed. The only person to date who appears to have taken action is the leader of the Parliament caucus, Dr. John Hlophe, right? He's the one who has now penned a letter. Is like, no, man, Khanuch is Khanuch, ngisuthi ngicwele nje angeke ngisakhona ukudila ngalama spoiled brat mina. I mean, imagine being disrespected by uSkhothane no Lokhuzana no F-bomb madam. Hell no, like that's wild, right? On the pretext that they are December 16 faction. And so it shall continue in this way because important decisions are not being made. You know? They're not being made. And this is what happens when you can't manage talent. Because it's not like the MK is full of useless people, you know? But clearly their leadership is impotent. So it'll be interesting then to see how this gets resolved. It doesn't look like it's going to be resolved. So it's one of those issues that may just snowball. And when you look at how perceptions work, it now overshadows whatever good the MK is attempting to do, like whatever progress. Right? You just can't see it. Remember the whole MK medics, MK professionals? Remember that whole Eleginyana they had going? Dololo, it's gone. It's gone. Even Gwafaru, it's they've got something going on there. You know, even they are like at Eastern Cape, doing charity work. You know, good for perceptions. That's how you roll. That's how you play the political game. While we have to deal with politics as if we are at a play date. Spoiled brats. That's what they are and nothing else. So, yeah, it will be interesting then to see whether the NHC or the Supreme Leader himself, the General Commander, Umkhulu Zuma, actually puts this matter to rest. Because at the moment, boy oh boy, it's not looking good. And it's reaching that point where I'm sure the core voter base of Umkhontosi will be like, no. So look, we can't be dealing with behavior NJ. Like, it can't. It just does not work. Do you agree or disagree?